Om Shri Sai Ram. Welcome to everyone to the 10th episode of the Sathya Sai story, the story which continues after the growth of Sathya to Sai. In the previous episode, the 9th episode, we saw how Swami travelled to Kupam to perform the wedding of Srimati Kupam Vijayamma, to also perform at her wedding. At this link above, you will see the entire playlist. In case you have missed any of the episodes, you can watch them from 1 to 9 that have been completed so far. 1948 appears to be an epochal and landmark year with respect of Swami performing weddings and marriages. I say this because the first ever documented wedding which Swami performed is in 1948, that is the 22nd of February, when Swami performed the wedding of Srimati Kupam Vijayamma. In the March of 1948, in the first 2 weeks, Swami conducted 2 more weddings, one of Shanta with Krishnamurthy, the other of one of his childhood acquaintances, Chinna Babayya. Now that is what this episode will be about. But more than that, this institution of wedding and marriage is a very sacred and holy one. It is an important stage in the spiritual journey of every being. It marks the beginning of the Grihastha ashrama. There are 4 ashramas or stages of one's life according to the scriptures. The Brahmacharya ashrama or the childhood academic stage, when we are taught that the sole goal of life is Brahmam Charyati, means to seek and find Brahman. Having received this and having got this strong foundation, we get into worldly life with the Grihastha ashrama, which is loosely translated as married life. Brahmacharya ashrama also is loosely translated as a life of celibacy. But then, as I said, Swami has explained very clearly that Brahmacharya means to learn that we have to seek only Brahman. And then of course we have the Vanaprastha stage, then the Sannyasa stage. In fact, if you would like to go into detail about each of these stages of life's journey, based on what Swami has said, you can have a look at this detailed satsang in this link above. Swami tells that we should always have expansion love. Love for ourselves is there right from our birth. Everybody loves themselves. I love myself, you love yourself. But we need to expand and grow to a level where we love everyone like we love ourselves, because the same divinity in us is there in all. In this journey of expansion love, marriage is a very critical landmark, because at this point in time, if not anybody else, we have to learn to love at least one other being as much as we love ourselves, that is our spouse. And then this grows to children and then the larger extended family. That is why Swami would say it is easy to practice spirituality in a forest, living in solitude, living in loneliness. Practice the same values in society, practice it in family. That is the challenge. That is when we will know whether we have really got it or not. Whether I truly am selfless and I am able to have expansion love gets proved only in a family. If I am not able to succeed in having this expansion love, there is discord, there is disturbance in the family. It can lead to separations, it can lead to divorces, it can lead to many different kinds of complications. In order to avoid these complications as far as possible, it would be wonderful to look at the insights that Swami provides us as he performs these weddings. Though she was married in February 1948, it was only in August 1948 that Kupam Vijayamma Garu left her parents' home and went to her in-laws' home. Before doing that, both husband and wife visited Swami, and Swami blessed them with advice. Advice that is applicable to both bride and groom, general advice that is applicable specifically to the bride, and advice that is applicable specifically to the groom. We shall examine all these 3. When it comes to general advice, the most important thing that Swami told her, and she records this in her book Anyatha Sharanam Nasti, is that Swami said, you should not look at any other person with that feeling. that feeling, that special feeling that exists only between husband and wife, which is beautiful, which is marital love, which also has an element of lust in it, that strong sensual attraction. Now Swami says you should not look at anybody else with that feeling. If we do that, Swami says you will lose a lot. In many of his other discourses as well, Swami emphasizes this point of celibacy in marriage. It seems contradictory. How can you be celibate when you are married? Yes, celibacy in marriage means reserving those feelings of lust only to the life partner and to nobody else, not looking at any other person with that feeling. If we indulge in that, what happens is that we lose vitality, we lose energy. Swami says that you become physically, mentally and morally depleted and exhausted. You also become susceptible to all the 6 Arshad Vargas: Kama, desire; Krodha, anger; Lobha, greed; Moha, infatuation, lust; Mada, pride; and Matsarya, which is jealousy and envy. You become susceptible to all of these. And that is why it is so important as a general practice that one restricts that feeling only towards one's life partner. In fact, when we go to the first Vahini that Swami has written, Prema Vahini, it is surprising that as we go through the pages, we don't see the word Prema coming at all. Though it is not explicitly about Prema, Swami explains Prema by explaining what it is not as well. Because in that, Swami writes that there are 2 gateways to hell. One is the desire for sex, the other is the desire of the tongue to taste. Swami says if these 2 are not controlled, there is no way you can prevent yourself from going to hell. This appetite of the tongue and appetite for sex, both have to be controlled if one has to avoid sorrow. Otherwise, one is sure to suffer from sorrow. If these 2 are mastered, then one is able to become the mastermind. Swami says, master the mind, be a mastermind. For that, this basic sense control is absolutely essential. In fact, in a book that is not widely available now called The Temple of Religions, Swami states clearly that to the extent to which this sexual energy is controlled, it gets converted to spiritual energy. When there is Kama or desire, there cannot be Rama or the Lord, Swami says in many discourses. So, how much ever we control Kama, that much we will rise in Rama. One of the early devotees of Bhagawan Sri Sathya Sai Baba, Mrs. Rita Bruce from the United States of America, she writes in her book Vision of the Divine, based on her experiences and interviews with Swami. In that, she writes how Swami advised that all these modern methods of contraception are missing the point. They may succeed in preventing childbirth or preventing pregnancy, but they are increasing and inflaming lust and licentiousness. And therefore, Swami says the best contraceptive methods that people should try to develop and practice is that of self-control and sense control. Another aspect of celibacy in brahmacharya is even this lust that exists between husband and wife should be for noble purposes. The Achara Kanda of the Garuda Purana emphasizes that even the sexual activity between the husband and the wife should be with the noble desire of bringing in noble souls into this world. This does not mean prohibition or control. It only elevating worldly desires to divine desires, elevating worldly actions to spiritual actions. Coming to advice specifically for the brides, Swami told her, remember, service to your husband is service to God. That is the level to which Swami elevated the role of a wife as a home builder, as a house maker. He tells her that come what may, never oppose your husband and speak strongly against him. Never should you say that you don't have time to attend on the needs of your husband. You should always be available. That apart, Swami tells her that you should always pray for increasing devotion in your heart, and to protect your Mangalyam. Mangalyam means not being a widow, being a married woman, and it is symbolized by the Mangala Sutra, the sacred thread with the golden ornaments that is worn by the married woman around her neck. That is also the reason why Swami would almost at every wedding materialize the Mangal Sutra, which is worn by the woman, to symbolize that Pati is equal to the Jagat Pati, meaning husband is equal to God. This is the advice that Swami gives to Vijayamma Garu. And the beautiful thing is, he gives them in the form of poems and songs. One of these poems I remember very vividly because many years later, when we had to do the convocation drama, Swami had given this poem, and this poem Swami used to use to describe the glory of Draupadi.
వారి సేవలు చేయగా తీరదనదు తనకు ఉన్న దానితో తృప్తి గనుచునుండు ద్రౌపదికి సాటియే పతివ్రతయు లేదు द्रौपदी की साटिये पतिव्रतयु लेदु.
Now, before the husbands can rejoice, Swami makes it clear as to what the groom should be in order to have a wife like that. Swami would often say everybody wants a wife who is obedient, who is wonderful like Sita and Draupadi. But for that, you have to be like the Pandavas and Lord Rama. That is why Swami says the sole goal, the ultimate goal of the groom, of the man, should be darshan, sparshan and sambhashan of the Lord. Swami would say darshanam papanashanam, sparshanam karma vimochanam, sambhashanam sankatanashanam. Darshana destroys sins. Sparshana, touching the Lord, saves us from the effects of karma. And sambhashana, talking with the Lord, destroys our worries and fears and sorrows. Therefore, a husband should be one who is constantly engaged in the thought of God and is doing everything in life with the sole goal of achieving God. Yes, we do our careers, we do our jobs, we do our professions, we do everything. Whatever we need to do, we have to do it with the sole goal of reaching God. Then yes, a husband will deserve a wife like this and they will complement each other. And Swami reminds them that this is a partnership in order to achieve the four goals of life: dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Dharma is taught in the brahmacharya stage. Now you have to progress towards moksha, beginning with the grihastha stage. Swami advises husband and wife to engage in satsanga, satsangatve, nissangatvam, nissangatve, nirmohatvam, nirmohatve, nischalatatvam, nischalatatve, jivan mukti. Satsanga or good company is the first stage in achieving moksha. Swami also tells them to indulge in seva together, service together, Narayana seva, serve as many people as you can. We know of Karnam Subama, who, like Yashoda to Lord Krishna, the second mother to our dear Swami, she is the one who donated the land and helped in construction of the Pathamandiram, the first mandir for Swami. Supporting her ably at every stage and step was Karnam Kamalamma, her co-sister, the second wife of the Karnam. She wrote to her brother P.S. Krishnamurthy, who was studying in Bangalore, telling him, come to Puttaparthi and have darshan of Baba. Now, Krishnamurthy was a tenant at the residence of a certain Narayan Sharma. So he came to Puttaparthi along with the landlord and landlady and their daughter Shanta. He brought all of them to Puttaparthi, and needless to say, all of them became devotees. Now, we have covered the story of Narayan Sharma in the Sathya Sai that Prem and myself did. In brief, Narayan Sharma was not readily accepting Swami, but Swami gave him darshan of the Dashavatars, the 10 avatars of Lord Vishnu in the waters of the Chitravati river, and he saw Kalki avatar in Swami riding the horse. And that is how he became the devotee. And he said that he wanted nothing else but merger with the Lord, and Swami told him that would happen very soon. And Swami also promised him when that would happen, he would take care of his daughter Shanta. Shanta was just a few years younger than Swami in physical age, but after a few months when Narayan Sharma passed away, Swami kept his word. He became a father figure and took care of everything, including her marriage. The moment she reached 14 years of age, Swami started telling her about marriage, started telling her that it's time for her to get married. Now, Shanta was taken aback and she said, no, Swami, I don't want to. In fact, Swami used to keep teasing her that her husband had come, pointing to this Krishnamurthy whom I spoke about. And now Swami became serious and Swami said, he will be your husband, you have to get married to him. Ultimately, Swami's will prevailed as it always prevails, and when she was 16 years of age, she got married to Krishnamurthy. Swami performed this wedding of Krishnamurthy and Shanta at Puttaparthi in the Pathamandiram. It is possibly the first ever wedding that Swami conducted at the Pathamandiram. Now, there are wonderful insights over here. First thing, a question might arise in the minds as to why marriage so early. I did a quick research into history and found out that in 1929, the Sharada Act was passed in India, which defined the minimum marriageable age for girls as 14 and for boys as 18. Very interestingly, the time when Swami started speaking to Shanta seriously about her marriage was after she turned 14 and when Krishnamurthy had turned 18. Now, why that early also? One thing we have to remember, dear brothers and sisters, that back in 1930, again, research shows the average lifespan for a person in India was 25 and a half. When will you get married? At the age 26? When on an average you are already dead? When one has taken up a human birth in order to achieve moksha, that is what Swami has come to teach us. How can we while away life? That is why we have to progress from brahmacharya to grahastha to vanaprastha to sannyasa quickly. By the time, if the average lifespan is 25, no wonder that the marriageable age is 14. Of course, in 1976 in India it has been changed. The minimum age for marriage for a woman is now 18 and for a man it is 21. Today, the average lifespan in India is about 70-72. And therefore, yes, it makes sense that we get married at 23, 24, 25 when it comes to a girl, or 27, 28, 29 when it comes to a boy. And these are not figures that I am stating. I have heard from accounts of different people, different devotees whose daughters and sons' wedding Swami has performed, where Swami has told them that once the girl reaches 23, start looking out for a groom for her, and once the boy reaches 27, 28, start looking out for a bride for him. Why? Well, if we examine this biologically, it becomes clear this is the perfect age for marriage. Late marriages lead to so many problems biologically, mentally, adjustment problems. Once we grow beyond a certain age, it becomes very difficult to have understanding and adjustment, and this leads to friction in marriages, leads to more number of marriages breaking. We are seeing that increase day by day. Late marriages, childless marriages, broken marriages, more than ever possibly in the history of mankind. Swami again supervised and conducted this wedding between Shanta and Krishnamurthy. Swami told Shanta that the bride's home would be the mandir and Karnam's home, Karnam Subama's home was made into the groom's home. That is where Krishnamurthy had stayed. Of course, it's his own sister's home, right? Kamalamma's home. So he stayed there, and then there were large pits that were dug, cooks were brought, and also vessels were brought in order to have food, and Swami ensured that there were bhajans. It all began with worship to Lord Ganesha. A clay idol of Ganesha was made, worship was done. You see, this is another important aspect of marriages that Swami conducted. They would all be filled with spiritual vibrations. No movie songs, no hooliganistic dancing. No. This is the beginning of a spiritual journey. Well begun is half done. You should begin it on the right notes with the right vibes. That is why, didn't we see in Kupam, Swami himself went and sang for the wedding. The other wedding I was speaking about happened on the 8th of March 1948. This was a person whose name is Muntimadugu Chinna Babayya. He is possibly a schoolmate or an early associate of Swami himself, and Chinna Babaya's father picked up one of his distant cousins as his bride-to-be. Now Chinna Babaya himself says that he saw that this girl was on the darker complexion, and so he felt, no, I am so handsome, I don't want to marry this girl. But then Swami came to him and said, this girl is the perfect one for you. Give up this bad bias that you have based on skin color. This brings us to another important insight about marriages. In fact, Swami alluded to this in his birthday discourse in 1973. He says, when one chooses a life partner nowadays, the first consideration is paid to external beauty and charm. Next, the economic position is taken as the basis. How rich is he or she? How much does he or she earn? Questions like how far are they educated? What is the social status of the families to which they belong are asked later. Carried off by mere external frills and foppery, people enter into wedlock and get entangled in misery or a destructive family life. When we look at the Ramakatha Rasavahini, the autobiography of Lord Sri Rama, for it is written by Sai Rama, Swami says that Rama and Sita did not look at each other before their wedding. But it is not that they rushed blindly into marriage. Love is not blind. Lust is blind. Love is very wise. Their families had studied each other's families for several generations. In fact, that is the introduction that is given. Spanning several generations, all the people in the family are recounted on either side. Which means these two families have checked the character and nobility in the descent. Swami says in another discourse that nowadays people look at the pedigree and the descent of dogs and cats, but not of their own life partners, and make a mockery of it, thinking what is so great about looking at the family. The culture, they have to blend, otherwise, as Swami says, there will be misery. The second thing is, while these have to be looked into, please don't go by external beauties, wealth, riches. No. Character is most important. Character is the basis on which this decision has to be taken. That is the advice Swami gave Chinna Babaya. And good for him that he accepted Swami's advice. In fact, he prayed to Swami to conduct the wedding, and Swami promised him, yes, I will conduct the wedding. Wherever there is goodness, there is godliness, Swami has said. Swami had told one student, that is the Rajmata's grandson, Shri Indreshwar Sirohi, when they were looking for brides for him, he said, Swami, I want a devotee girl. Swami told him, no, just get a good girl. Her goodness will get attracted to my godliness. Wherever there is goodness, there is godliness. That is what happened in his case. That is what will happen in every case. That is why we have to pay attention to character. And then nothing else matters. So when Chinna Babaya did this, Swami performed their wedding, Swami materialized the Mangal Sutra, and before the wedding, both the bride and groom fell at the feet of Swami. Now, this was not liked by the family members in Chinna Babaya's side. They said, Swami is a Bhattraju. He is a Bhattraju, a lower caste. How can you fall at the feet of a person of lower caste? People are necessary for the wedding, but the most important people Swami would give importance to is the parents. The parents must bless the wedding. The parents must be happy. If they are not, convince them. Pray to them. Make the parents happy, because their blessings matter a lot. After that, it does not matter how many people are there. Quality over quantity always. It's not about making a big show, calling 10,000 people. People who truly understand the heart, they won't mind whatever we are doing. People who mind don't matter. People who matter don't mind. Let us remember that. So here Chinna Babaya went ahead. He said, no, I am wanting Swami to perform the wedding. If you people don't want to be there, happy, you are welcome not to be there. And thus, with a small number of people, small gathering, this wedding was conducted. Continuing that story, the relatives of this Chinna Babaya, they said, we'll come back after 10 days, and we will test whether this Baba is really what you say he is. They had come armed with a kind of powder, herbal powder, which will cause itchiness and inflammation of the skin. Their plan was to throw this on Swami. But when they were coming, their carts overturned, they had a severe accident, many of them got injured, and all this powder was lost on the road. Dear brothers and sisters, Karma always comes full circle. If we do good, if we sow good, we get good. If we sow bad, we get bad. Especially when it comes to the avatar, in divine activities, let us ensure we do only good. When it comes to Swami, when it comes to God, because there's also the magnifier and amplifier effect that happens there, where every little good is rewarded with a lot of good, and every little evil, we get punished with a lot more, 10x, 100x. So this is what happened, and when they came to Puttaparthi, finally, Swami himself went lovingly and inquired from them as to how they are, what happened, and so much love that he showered on them that they were transformed, they were touched, they were ashamed of themselves, and that repentance cleansed their hearts, and they too became devotees of Swami. With that, dear viewers, we conclude this episode, which has, for right reasons, focused on this grand, beautiful, glorious spiritual institution of wedding and marriages. There was one more marriage that Swami conducted towards the end of 1948 during the Dasara time. That is the wedding of Professor Narayan Kasturi's daughter. But there are so many beautiful stories there that we shall keep it for that time. I really do hope that all of you are enjoying this beautiful Sathya Sai story as much as I am enjoying narrating it. I am grateful to Swami for this opportunity, and I pray to him that the love that I have in my heart towards him should keep growing stronger every passing moment. Thank you. Jai Sai Ram.